What are we? Are we officially not Manosphere because we got the communists elected?
I think we're out.
Here's my attitude with this guy. There's a lot to not like. Well, what if he, I don't care. I'll leave. But why did he win? Well, obviously, he won because people don't have money.
Hi everyone, JJ here. Welcome back to the Johnston Lounge. Yes, a name change if you haven't caught up on that. And it's Comedy Friday here in the lounge. Well, I say comedy, but it's more comedians. Sometimes it's not really about the comedy. Now, Andrew Schulz and Tim Dillon have both had their thoughts sort of gone off on Zohran Mamdani's win in New York. Let's see what Tim Dillon has to say, and then we'll jump to Andrew Schulz and I'll react to it. They definitely have thoughts. Andrew Schulz had Zoran on the show, so he's kind of claiming that he helped get him elected, but maybe they can see the wind change, the tide change. But Tim Dillon, you get the feeling that he doesn't like it. He comes out to say he doesn't like it. Sometimes you can't tell because of the jokes he makes. But Andrew Schulz is still MAGA in that Manosphere, Rogansphere. These guys are both Rogansphere comedians, or they have been at times. Tim Dillon may be pulling away from there a little bit. Anyway, let's see what he's got to say, and I'll react to what they're both saying along the way. Let's go.
Let's watch this.
So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, okay. Turn the volume up. We'll see what happens. Here's my attitude with this guy. There's a lot to not like, but if it doesn't work, I will just leave. Because I don't care. This is the actual only way to approach. I don't care is now not only necessary and appropriate, it is vital to your mental health. I don't care. I don't care. Well, what if he, I don't care. I'll leave. I'll just leave. You can just leave. I don't think he's going to do the things people think he's going to do. I don't think we're going to have rapes on every corner. I hope not.
Okay, so he's taking the stance here. Obviously, his audience, I think his audience is probably turned MAGA over time. That's why he says people are saying, well, is he forgetting how popular Zoran was and how many votes he got? So who's he talking to here? He's saying, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave if things don't look good. Now, he's in the position of being a wealthy comedian at this point, right? And he can leave. He's got the funds to be able to just go wherever he wants, really. Some people in New York aren't like that. He goes on to say people don't have money, and that's the problem. And he's joking about that. So he seems to be in a pretty privileged position when he's saying stuff like that. Let's hear a little bit more, and then we'll go to Andrew Schulz.
We do. If we have a rape on every corner, like a violent rape on every corner, I'll stay for a few months because it'll be interesting. You know? But then if...
That's just not even funny. Bad joke.
Eventually, I'll be like, another rape. I'm trying to get in my steps. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, wait, another rape? What?
Yeah, hilarious, Tim. Really hilarious.
I'm trying to go to the Greek place. So if it's going to be a rape on every corner, I'll just go. I'll just skedaddle. But I don't think it will be. But why did he win? Well, obviously, he won because people don't have money.
Bingo. And it's not working for them. The affordability problem. A lot of people have talked about that. Zoran's talked about that. And the policies are aimed at helping that. Like, I'm not in New York. I'm not even in the US. So I'll see what happens, especially with the Trump regime going so far in one direction. Yes, Democrats, or at least some Democrats, not the Democratic establishment, but actual people voting, seem to be pretty keen on this. So it is a bit of an experiment, obviously, for New York, and we'll see what happens. But Tim does not like it. So let's see what Andrew Schulz has to say. So he's making a joke here at the beginning about we are the most powerful podcast on the planet, meaning that he had Zoran on, talk to him, and they had a good time. It was funny, and he got elected, obviously. I'm sure they knew the polls, but listen to what he says about this.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the most powerful podcast on the fucking planet. All right? Put some respect on our names. All right? We getting dictators elected. We getting communists elected. Whatever the fuck we want.
So he's talking about, helping getting Trump elected, the Manosphere, the Rogansphere really did help get Trump elected. And Theo Von. Some of these are the most popular podcasts in the US, right? So it definitely had an impact, and there's been a lot of criticism about that, including from me, this Rogansphere siding with Trump. And then suddenly, sometimes walking it back when Joe sees some things that ICE is doing that he doesn't like, but really slips back into support, and he's become pretty right-wing. Andrew Schulz too. And so he's making this joke about claiming victory, that we're most powerful. So these podcasters do have political power, influential power, massive audiences, for sure.
Curtis Sliwa was ducking us.
Andrew Yang, remember that?
Andrew Yang wanted to give all y'all $1,000. We want you to get your money. But then what happened? He got scared. Now he's selling bubble tea in the East Village. Okay, that's what happened.
Doing her little book tour. You could have been
What is
president.
she doing right now?
You could have been president.
Could have been president of the United States of America. Okay, now we got some African guy.
Yes.
Running the greatest city in the world.
Yes.
So that's our second time that's happened. All right, guys. So what's the deal? Should we charge more for ads? Like, what's really going on?
Yes.
When you have this much power, when you really have this much, because we want all the credit. If we got all the credit for getting Trump elected,
You better
we
keep
want
that same energy.
all the credit.
Yeah.
Unless
Don't
things
start
go-
slicing thin now.
Don't slice it thin now. Oh, it was up 90%, whatever. No, we don't want to hear that.
Unless there's like a stabbing or something under Zoran, in which case we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Unless things go sideways, in which case,
Stabbing.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a funny point here where, if they help get Trump elected, all the credit or criticism for that. And, Tim Dillon's had Bernie on as well. So there is that. I think maybe they've listened and not being just completely one-sided. If they're going to interview politicians, maybe they have to do both sides. And Joe Rogan's criticized for not having Newsom on. I've made a video about that. Scared to have Newsom on because these politicians sometimes are very good debaters, professional debaters. So Newsom's pretty much ready for that. And Rogan is pretty scared. But I mean, it's an interesting point that they had these guys on, but I mean, it's about the clicks, about the views, right? They know that if they have Bernie on, if they have Zoran on, they're going to get views. It doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with them.
Stabbing? You gotta give us more than us.
Well, we gotta see what happens. We gotta see, and then we'll see.
Well, actually, you know what? To slice even thinner, we want the left to give us all the credit because they're very happy right now. So give us all the credit because you scapegoated us for Trump, but we want all the credit. But then the right, when you're upset, that's not on us.
Yeah, we had nothing to do with it.
That we didn't have.
We gave you
anything to do
Trump.
with.
Be happy.
Exactly.
Be happy.
We gave you both gifts.
Yeah.
We're very benevolent. We might be the most benevolent podcast on the
We
planet.
truly are.
We're socialists. Who are?
Give a little bit to everyone.
Yo, who are we though? Who are we really? What are we? Are we officially not Manosphere because we got the communists elected?
I think we're out.
No, they're definitely Manosphere. And then during this podcast, they definitely are still on the MAGA side. But yes, doing that for the clicks, they knew it would be popular, that podcast. And maybe they did help in some way. I don't think anybody watching their show is probably voting for Zoran, though. But facts are, a lot of people did, right? And they want to change, and they got it. And we'll see what happens.
Oh, dude.
I think we're all centrist, bro.
I bought a shot collar for my dog yesterday. That's how left-wing I am.
So that's a joke about Hassan, the dog collar, which wasn't true. If you look at Taylor Lorenz's podcast about that, she goes through it all in detail. but people still do think that happened. Let's have another clip before we go back to Tim Dillon here about this one. What makes Mamdani so likable? Interesting what they say about this.
Because Charlamagne calls shit out and it's just the most hilarious. He's like, yo, when someone is likable, whatever they do is like, it's just the most fly shit. And he's like, yo, if Kamala the night before the election was like at a gay bar in Brooklyn, people are like, what the fuck is this bitch doing?
That's a good point.
Be out there on the road. If Cuomo's had some like late night party, but when Zoe does it, it's the flyest shit ever.
Because he knows everything. He hits everybody. He gets you with the rap shit. He goes to the gay club. He just in touch with all the shit.
Because he's likable. Because you like
That's
him.
part of what makes him likable. He's in touch with every like little group.
Yes.
He
ran a fantastic campaign. I'm just saying,
flawless.
when you do whatever you do is the hot shit.
Yeah.
Like
being young goes a long way too, though. Remember when Hillary went to the bar and she was like pouring up beers and shit, and everyone was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
It's a good point. I mean, he's young. It's like fresh blood. But, you know, there's a honeymoon period with all politicians when they get into office. And the point is, what's he going to do? Give it maybe a year, maybe even less than that. It just depends what happens. It could be these so-called black swan events where, well, New York's had those, right? So it depends how the mayor deals with it and what happens on the street. Fact is that he is popular and he has got popular policies, you know, like cheaper or some free public transport and hoping to help out with affordability. But as I said, there's a honeymoon period with these things and it can go south pretty quickly. So let's just see this last clip here before we go back to Tim Dillon. These are only short ones, so I might as well do these all at once.
Oh my God.
America is finally back.
Yeah,
It really is, dude.
It feels back.
Vibes are up.
It was we got too much right, and there wasn't enough fun. You need like the hall monitors.
Yeah,
that's the Dems are the hall monitors, and it's no fun in the hallway without a monitor somewhere. So we need them to have a little power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's revealing his political leanings there. And a lot of people are calling it fascist, and it is looking like that with what ICE is doing. So he's saying that we need a little bit of balance, and this is definitely swinging a long way the other way, not to kind of establishment Democrats like Newsom, for instance. It'll be interesting to see how popular he actually is, or are they going to get some candidates, maybe like AOC? I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be pretty interesting, isn't it? You know, who they put up, who the Democrats put up when what's happened in New York, more to the left. The leftists are becoming more popular than these establishment Democrats, you know, like Clinton and others who just haven't been that popular in recent years at all. That was one of the reasons that they lost, right? They're just not popular as much as they want to carry on this mainstream sort of corporate Democratic thing. And Biden administration ended up not being very popular as it turned out. And that's why Trump won again, right? So we will have to see what happens. Now let's go back to Tim Dillon and his rant here. And he is, you know, really not being very favorable here. You could say that he's joking. And a lot of people in the comments say this, that he's just, you know, being ironic. But I don't think so.
It's pretty simple. People have these lives they plan out from when they're little. I didn't do this. My mother was a schizophrenic, and my father was like in and out of a band. Phenomenal. But we never filled out a college application. That wasn't the thing.
Yes, he came from humble beginnings, but now he's a wealthy comedian. He's one of these rich people in New York, right? And I've seen the rich people. It's hard to find one who supports Zoran in New York. Bill Ackman, of course, was railing against it. All these investment billionaires and rich people don't like it. And it's partly because of, you know, the tax, 2% more tax. Ouch.
I had a typical Long Island, ne'er-do-well childhood. There were elements that were good. There were indications that I had certain qualities that might make me successful at some point. But my parents were very busy working, and they didn't really nurture my success. They just didn't really, that wasn't their thing. And again, I'm not blaming them. I'm not like, I'm just saying, because of that upbringing, I expected almost nothing from the world, like literally almost nothing. You know, but there are people out there who really start very early and believe, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just telling you the makeup of this type of person. They do well in school. They do their homework. They get into a good college. They get an internship while they're at college. They work hard at their internship.
What's this got to do with it? He is getting to a point here about people in New York who are workers who've done all the right things, and they are the people that voted for Zoran, or people like that who did all the right things, but still finding it unaffordable and not as good as it could be in New York, right?
They then get a good job at a good firm, and they work their ass off. And those are the people that are finding it increasingly difficult to afford New York City. Those people.
It is true. I've heard people complaining about this, even relatively wealthy people. I mean, there's Manhattan, right? But there's more to New York than that. But people who do live in Manhattan have complained, even though they make a lot of money. When they say how much they make, they're making a lot of money and still find it difficult, or supposedly difficult. I'd argue that if you're earning like $250,000 a year as a household and seem to be struggling, you need to take a look at your budget.
The paint by numbers, pin a ribbon on me. I did all of the right things. I have all of the right views. I post all of the right things on social media. I say, the things I'm supposed to say. I don't rock the boat. I am a very nice, albeit forgettable, but I'm a
Freak.
A
professional freak.
Face in the crowd.
So yeah, he's trying to get around to saying that he's not a normie, and there are a lot of normies out there who voted for Zoran this time around. And it's true, artists and podcasters, artists, comedians are definitely in the freak bucket, right? Not normies, but a lot of these people aren't rich. It's very few percentage of the people, if you're doing podcasting, if you're an artist, if you're a comedian, a low percentage of people make it to be earning decent money, right?
And I deserve more than, and they're right, by the way. They're not wrong. Do I love these people? No. They bore me. I'm bored. I don't hate them. I'm not like, kill them, but they're boring. They're normies. They're boring. They bore me. They're boring. I like people that have more to say, or maybe they had a different route in life. And a lot of my friends are normies. And I because they're my friends, I'm friends with them. But if they weren't my friends, I wouldn't be friends with them. If I didn't know them for a long time, they would bore me to death. And it's not it's not their fault. They're just boring and vapid and surface and dull.
Oh, he's really dumping on his childhood friends here, because that's what he's talking about, right?
And pointless, and their lives don't have any meaning, and they infect me with how boring and dull they are, and their concerns are so small and petty. What a waste of a life they live. But I don't dislike them. Do you see? But that is the coalition that Zoran has.
There are lots of young people, right, who can't afford the cost of living in places like New York and in other places too. And it's not just in the US, it's other countries too. Student debt being a big one, right? Even Peter Thiel was saying that in a recent article I saw. I haven't made a video about that yet, but he flagged, the rise of more socialist-leaning politics because of student debt. When students and young people go to college, right, go to university and have this massive debt afterwards, it's tough. It definitely wasn't like that when I went to university. It was pretty much free. Was in New Zealand and Australia. went up to masters. I mean, I ended up getting a scholarship. The fees were waived at that level, and all the way through, they were virtually nothing. So I do feel for young people going through that right now with massive amounts of debt coming out the other side. It's crazy. I am for pretty much free education, right? I think it's a good thing.
Coalition of angry, boring, mediocre people that have done the right things and have gotten very little for it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the things he is talking about, he's right about. Things are too expensive. People feel that they're not getting ahead. And the Republican Party, which is they've lost their goddamn mind. They're arguing about who's allowed to talk to who on the internet.
It's turned into cancel culture on the right side, right? And you're not allowed to talk about Charlie Kirk. You're not allowed to make jokes. I mean, comedians. There was one comedian I was talking about the other day. It was Stavros Halkias talking about comedians always look to push the boundaries. And right now, if you're making a joke about Charlie Kirk, that would probably not go down well. But young comedians, young artists really want to just push the boundaries to where they can, just because they can, right? Like it's tempting to make jokes about what you're not allowed to make jokes about.
All the flights are being grounded. The airspace is being closed. We've got a government shutdown. The money is still going out the door so we can invade Venezuela, arm Israel, arm the Ukraine. Or it's a giveaway to Palantir so that Peter Thiel can install surveillance technology in all the cities that rioting is going to happen in 3, 2, 1. I mean, like, it's coming.
So I made a video about that with Tim Dillon roasting Peter Thiel, which I'll link to in the description there, where he was talking about Palantir. He really doesn't like that. He also said he's been invited to Peter Thiel's place, to his house. He didn't go because he doesn't want to be aligned with these people, or he wants to be able to criticize whoever he wants to criticize, and that's fair enough. I think that's good. See, the moment that you have Trump on your podcast and give him softball questions and you help him get elected, I mean, I've said before that I don't think artists should get too close to power, because if you help them and support them personally, then you can't pull back from that. You can't make jokes. You can't criticize so much. Although Jon Stewart seems to manage criticizing both sides, even though he's a Democrat, right?
And that's where the Republican Party is. So the Democratic Party, which swept New Jersey, swept New York, swept Virginia, they're concentrating on things that matter. How to get people more money. That's what, because by the way, that is all they want to do. By the way, that sign that you see, those protests, I could be at brunch right now. That's all they want. Have you tried to have brunch and how much that is? But that's all they want to do. All these people want to do is have brunch.
So it is about affordability. He's making a joke about, having brunch, but it's really about affordability, being able to afford things. Is that saying it's the economy, stupid? It's always the economy. And I would say if the US goes into recession, that would make Trump very unpopular. It's happened before. If you look at every president, every party that's been in power and there's been a recession or the economy's tanked, it's really difficult to maintain popularity no matter what they're doing. It often comes down to the wallet, right? People's wallets. And they seem to be hiding it. They've said that, look, I was trying to look for the economic figures, or the economic figures that were supposed to come out right this week, and they said, we might have lost that. They blamed it on the government shutdown. They said, it might be late, or we may never have it. It's like they're trying to delay the bad news. They're trying to delay the bad news as much as possible, or hide it. I mean, what are we talking about? Is this like the CCP in China who does that? So fudges the numbers, or just only releases what they want? Is it becoming like that? And because they know that, right? They know if the economy tanks, they will be in trouble, especially coming up to the midterms as time goes by. Anyway, what do you think about this? Let me know what you think about what they've said, especially about Zohran Mamdani. Do you agree with any of these guys? Which side are you on? Do you think it's a wait and see thing, or do you really hate that he was elected? Or do you like it? If you're in New York, I would especially like to hear from you in the comments, definitely. And right now, I'm going to put a related video on screen. I'll put that one about Peter Thiel, or Tim Dillon roasting Peter Thiel. think it's quite a funny one when he was doing that. So go and check that out if you haven't already. And also subscribe, link on screen, and do subscribe or follow over at Spotify too. All right, thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.